Authenticity as an idea, as a value that I hold, is actually one of my most firmly held values. It is a value that I perhaps put above some other values. And part of the reason is because, I was watching a minister the other day give a talk. I do watch other ministers, and they said, ministers tend to repeat stories because the stories that have most profoundly affected them are the ones that carry them in ministry. And so you may have heard this before, but I used to stage manage conferences for the Centers for Spiritual Living once upon a time, and one of the things that always troubled me as a ministerial student at the time was that I would experience well-regarded ministers backstage who were different in their interactions with me than the person they were presenting on the platform. What a great gift that was for me, because I said, I will always be my authentic self, whether I'm on the platform or not on the platform. And I think if you know me, and most of you do, you know that I am just as crazy off the platform as I am on the platform. We dance all week, we really do. And there's also opportunity to learn and grow and thrive and unfold into something more. So I'm going to do something today that I've not really done before in this way. And I'm going to give you a content warning. Oh my gosh, it sounds so heavy, doesn't it? I'm giving you a content warning. I'm going to read something from Scripture, and I want you to take a moment after I read what I read to see what feelings arise within you in relationship to this reading. And so this is from 1 Corinthians 14, 34 and 35. Women are to be silent in the churches. They are not permitted to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they wish to inquire about something, they are to ask their own husbands at home, for it is dishonorable for a woman to speak in the church. So remember I said, perhaps see what feelings arise in you? That touched on some feelings, didn't it? I hope you understand I do not agree with this passage. And some people have, let me tell you, it's an unstable, it's an unreliable passage, actually. There is a history around this particular passage. Its instability is reflected in that in various manuscripts over the course of thousands of years, that passage has actually been moved around. It's not, if you look in most Protestant Bibles now, you will see that passage is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verses 34 and 35, but it has moved around. It's not always been in that same spot. The other thing is that in Codex Vaticanus, which is one of the oldest copies of Christian scripture that exists, there's a marking next to this passage, 2 dots and a little line, and that marking indicates that it was most likely added text. So it's something that got added later, right? Also, this is explicitly contradictory to another part of Corinthians where, just 2 chapters prior, Paul completely contradicts this statement. So what's going on here? What's going on here? Some scholars believe that it is an addition based on that scribal note denoting the practice of an early church community that probably held up this idea, and it got put in, you know how you're writing the margins of your book? Probably got put into the margin, and that got passed on to somebody else who said, oh, well, this is, was meant to be there. So it starts messing up the historicity of Scripture. So I've been asked in my time here, unlike many Unity ministers, I've been asked in my time here why I do not utilize Scripture as much as other Unity ministers. That's a relatively strong tradition in the Unity movement, that we approach the experience of the Bible by understanding that it is metaphor and it is metaphysical in our interpretation of it. but I also find it to be unstable and unreliable, and it has been manipulated over the course of time to inject meaning. So I tend to shy away from that, personally. I was having a conversation with somebody today saying, oh yeah, well, just so you know, I'm going to be, referencing a scripture passage today. And one of the responses I got was, yes, well, you can find anything, anywhere to support your idea that you want to put forth, and it will be contradicted somewhere else in scripture. And I said, that's absolutely right. It's absolutely right. So lest you think that we do not pick and choose in unity, we pick and choose in unity the scripture that works for us. Scripture has been used as a weapon. I have been on the receiving end of weaponized scripture in my life. I'm not sure if you know about part of my authentic expression. Right, William? He didn't even see. He was taking a note. He didn't see. I'm a member of the LGBTQIA community, and I have spent part of my life having scripture. Basically, I've been bludgeoned by scripture passages that suggest that I am somehow wrong or not worthy or less than because I identify as part of that community. Why? Why would we do such a hateful thing to bludgeon people in the name of God? In the name of God. And I understand God to be only love. And so a loving God would have no place in bludgeoning people for expressing their authentic selves. If I am made in the image and likeness of the divine, then it means that the wholeness of me is the image and likeness of the divine. There's no aspect of my being, there's no cell in my body that is not wholly divine, and that is true of each and every one of us. Every single one of us is the outflow of divinity itself. So I look at Scripture and I think, are we trying to apply ideas in some ways that have no relevance in a contemporary society? And we love to say that the message of Scripture primarily points us to love and forgiveness and an awareness of the divine identity. And I do believe that fundamentally that is true. That if we want to identify let's say we choose to identify ourselves as metaphysical Christians, that the most metaphysical Christian frame of mind is to say that we stand for these ideals: love only, forgive everything, remember who you are, because that is what Jesus Christ taught. That's what he taught. I could get into a whole biblical, scholarly discussion with you about what Paul did. It's a whole class in and of itself, because Paul very specifically said, I have come with my own gospel. And he contradicted much of what Jesus offered. And yet the majority of the Christian scripture are the works of Paul. Love, forgive, and remember. Love, forgive, and remember. We don't need Scripture to teach us that. We don't. Scripture that is used to silence must be scrutinized. And so, if you've ever been part of a community where that particular passage from Corinthians was used to silence women, it must be scrutinized. And I think it should be abolished from our way of thinking. I have a question for you. If the scriptures were eliminated from our existence entirely, say we never had scripture written, passed down, considered, if it was entirely wiped away from our existence, could we still live those values of love, forgiveness, and remembering a divine identity? Yes. I would like to think the answer is yes. Because we are inherently divine, right? And so I try to support these values in all that Unity of Tucson promotes. That's why it is so important to me that we collectively affirm out loud the mission statement: love only, forgive everything, remember who you are, as a way of remembering that this is our call to create a world that is awakened to its magnificence. That's how I think we do it. By being love, by being forgiveness, and by being divine in every aspect of our lives. So can we live those values, ready? Unconditionally. Can we live those values unconditionally? That means if we seek to express our authentic selves, then we must accept authenticity in others in whatever way it shows up. And what is the authentic nature of all of us? The way that I choose to experience every single person around me is to understand that each and every one of us is the infinite divine source of creation in form. We are born this way, authentically. Who we are is divine. You know, I've said on many occasions, we are God. Not to say that we are the allness of God, but there is no aspect of our being that is not God. We are God. I'm God. You're God. The piano is God. The microphone is God. The fake ferns are God. Yes, they're fake. The fake ferns are God. You've been watering them? You don't need to do that anymore. And it is not uncommon when I say that, we are God. I am, you are, it's all God. Every single person in politics is God. Every single person we encounter is God. Everything, everyone, all of creation is God. And I get pushback often with this question, what about, whataboutism, right? We're always looking for the way that we can contradict our faith rather than actually living the truth of our faith. So I get this a lot. What about those who are evil? Can we think of some evil people in the world? I can think in history, there have been some people who have expressed evil in the world. I don't believe evil exists. But people act in evil ways. Behavior is not the same as beingness. Some may engage in evil behaviors. And that is, here's the thing, that is usually the result of some form of conditioning. We don't know what we don't know about what drives someone to act in ways or have evil behaviors in life. But evil itself is not a creative energy. There is no such thing as evil as an energy at all. There's behavior that people engage in, utilizing the infinite creative energy of love in destructive ways. That's how I define evil. The behavior is evil and destructive. There is only one creative energy. There is only one source. There is only one love. Can we accept, include, and celebrate all creation in its multifaceted expression? I just want you to check in for a moment. And see, is there any place in your heart that tries to justify othering, where you consider something as separate from? You consider someone as separate from. They are the other, and so they do not deserve my love and respect. Is there any place in your heart that tries to justify othering? And I'm going to let you off the hook, because I still combat othering in my own life sometimes. I can look to things and say, they are not worthy of my respect, they are not worthy of my time. Oh gosh, I'm a New Thought minister. I guess I have to rethink that. And I have to find the place in my heart that understands in a compassionate way that individual who may be behaving in ways that I don't agree with. One of the challenges and one of the blessings, one of the paradoxes of the New Thought philosophy, it's a challenge and a blessing, is that we are given course, it's not really given. We are empowered, I will say, because to say we were given something is to say that something out there gifted it to us. We are empowered by freedom of choice. We are empowered by freedom of choice. Ernest Holmes, in his work, The Science of Mind, offered this. He said, the divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. So in othering, we are saying that some individual should step away from expressing their freedom of expression by saying they have to be something that aligns with what I think in my heart it should look like. Maybe we give them the grace and the compassion to just be themselves, understanding that at the core, the degree to which we shine our light of love is the degree to which they may begin to reflect it back to us. We may fundamentally change another person, not because of the way we try to manipulate them, but because of the light that we shine from within ourselves, that they look at and they go, oh, I recognize that light. I understand that, and I am going to allow myself to perhaps shine my own light in a way that is supportive, letting go of any destructive behaviors I have been involved in. Who are we to restrict anyone's freedom? Their freedom to express, their freedom to love, their freedom to be their authentic selves, to be authentic in their infinite self-expression. I would like to believe that we truly uphold the principle of unity. It's our name. Unity. Unity. What does unity mean? Unity means recognizing wholeness. Wholeness. And wholeness does not imply sameness. It does not imply that we are homogeneous. To be authentic from the point of view of unity is to be who you are and accept others unconditionally. And even in those instances where their truth of being may not align with their behavior. We don't have to accept the behavior. I get a lot of pushback sometimes about that second aspect of our mission statement, forgive everything. What forgive everything means is to let go of the ties that we have applied in our own minds and hearts that keep us from thriving and growing in our divine identity because we have let someone else's behavior adversely affect our minds and hearts to a degree that is holding us back, but not them. I can be forgiving of an individual and not excuse the behavior. That's an important distinction. Forgiveness is not about excusing behavior. It's about releasing, what is it, I can't remember because I have so many things that roll around in my mind, those quotes and parables and phrases and things. The idioms of the world. There was at least one philosopher, I think it might have been the Dalai Lama, who said, unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The truth of someone's being may not be reflected in their behavior, but it does not take away from the truth of their being. It does not take away from their authenticity as divine. As a community, we are a common unity. As a community, are we living and upholding that ideal? How can we move past ideas of seeming? What I mean by that is, things seem to be a certain way. How can we move past the seeming, see through the seeming ideas, and uplift each other from the point of view of that divine identity? How do we do that? I see so much around me that is not right. How do I surpass that and participate in uplifting the whole of humanity? For me, that's really what draws us to that first part of our mission statement. Love only. Love only. Today's message is called Y'all Means Y'all. That means there can be no exceptions. There can be no exceptions in our understanding of the divinity of every single person we encounter. If we are going to love wholeheartedly and unconditionally, it means we must love wholeheartedly and unconditionally. We are experiencing divided times, right? I can call it for what it is. We are experiencing divided times. But we, right here, anyone watching online, we are the ones who are empowered to heal that divide. Now, we haven't always gotten it right in our endeavors to do that, but I believe that the evolutionary nature of creation means that we are always on the path. We are planting seeds of love, forgiveness, and divine identity everywhere we go. Are we? I would like to think we are. That's what I choose to do. If I go to a Starbucks, so you're going to probably be shocked at this, I rarely go to Starbucks anymore. Started making coffee at home. I'm like, why do I spend so much money at Starbucks? Anyway, but if I do go to a Starbucks, I understand the nature of every single person there as divine. That is a choice I have made in the outflow and expression of my life. These divided times that we are experiencing are simply the expression of a shadow. Now, if you know the work of Carl Jung, he talked a lot about shadow work and all of that. We are experiencing the shadow, but here's the great work when the shadow is revealed. It is an invitation for us to ask, what is mine to do in relationship to what I am experiencing? We can heal the divide. Do we do that by trying to escape the divide? Probably not. But we can evolve ourselves to be equal to the love we seek to have expressed back to us. That is how we begin to heal this divide. So what if we collectively commit to asking questions like this? Just take this question in. How can I more profoundly support the expression of infinite freedom and infinite equality for every single person I encounter? How can I not try to make somebody else do it, but how can I more profoundly support the expression of infinite freedom and infinite equality for every single person I encounter? What can I do to support the uplifting of those who demonstrate the need for support? What is mine to do in that case? What can I do to support the uplifting of those who demonstrate the need for support? Are there people who need support in your lives? The answer I'm going to tell you is most likely yes, whether you know they need support or not. We can be a beacon. We can be the light. We can uplift those around us by affirming and knowing the truth of their being so profoundly within our own hearts that they begin to believe it. Another question, what can I do as part of community? What can I do as part of community? We needn't ever feel isolated and alone. Ever. Look around you for just a moment. Seriously, look around you. Look at the faces of the people around you. You are not alone. There are probably people in this room that you've never spoken to before. I'm going to encourage you to speak and meet someone new today. You never know what profound connection you may find by speaking to somebody for the first time. The New Thought philosophy, our teaching does not allow for othering. It just doesn't. If you want to agree with the teaching and want to live the teaching, then the call is for us to release othering. There is no place for homophobia. There's no place to consider the LGBTQI community as something less than. There is no place for sexism. There is no place to speak ill of immigrants. There is no place to consider racial identity in any way that is not uplifting. There is no place for religious intolerance. There is no place for any of it in this teaching. Because we are unity. We are unity. We are all created in the image of divinity itself. And to know who you are authentically is the call to accept it in others. Claiming divine identity is the equalizer, because when I know who I am, I know the truth of your being. We are now on equal ground. We were born this way. And y'all means y'all. So celebrate. And celebrate not because the Bible tells you, but because you feel it in your own heart. Peace and blessings. You're magnificent. If you're new to the community, I offer a home practice every week. And the home practice this week is to engage in this. Each day, meditate on the consciousness of shared divine life, in that honoring your own authenticity and choosing a divine quality to radiate. Maybe that quality is as simple as saying, today I choose to radiate love only. Or today I choose to radiate authenticity only. Now, other things will be radiating from you if you allow at least one divine quality to radiate. Let that genuine energy guide one small act for someone who might otherwise have gone unlooked. Every single day, I invite you to do this. That's the home practice.
Need a moment of peace or inspiration? Call the Unity of Tucson prayer line for a comforting, uplifting prayer, available 24/7. Each month, we offer a new affirmative prayer to support you on your prayer journey. Take a deep breath, listen, and know that you are never alone. Call today and let the power of prayer uplift your spirit.
Are you spiritual but not religious? Do you believe in unconditional love? Are you ready to create the life you know you deserve? Are you looking for an inclusive spiritual community? Do you want to discover how magnificent you really are? If you're looking for a spiritual path that's all about love, freedom of choice, and compassion,
we can't wait to meet you.
Unity of Tucson, Sundays at 9:15 a.m.